oh, I want to lose the research question in the field. For us, it is very, very important that you lose the research question. The research question is your enemy. And let me explain why. Because when somebody starts to do research, they have this great plan. They come to you and say, oh, I want to write my PhD on this topic, and I think these people are very interesting. They are telling you about something they already know, right? If they didn't know about it, they couldn't make the research question. When you start your research, what happens is you discover all sorts of things you didn't know. You had no idea these people were actually, that there was a connection between religion and family life in the way you're discovering. Now, if you were writing your research questions, they would be different questions because of what you've discovered. So for me, a good student is one where the end result has no relationship to what they said they were going to do. If they just did what they claimed they were going to do, it means to me they've learned nothing. They discovered nothing. They didn't encounter anything other than what they predicted and expected because they kept to their research question. And that usually is a sign that they probably weren't very good as researchers. For me, I want my students to change their topic. I want them to be inconsistent. I want them to develop things as they learn because you're there in order to learn. The most interesting things are the things you didn't even dream you were ever going to encounter. Because that is actually what you've discovered. You didn't know that before. You know it now. In and of itself, that tells you it's a discovery. So I would always encourage you to say, oh, I'm now finding that these people aren't what I thought. They're actually more into this, or there are these other kinds of connections. And I would say, follow that. So I would say, always abandon your research question. It's your enemy, not your friend. I mean, I would say every one of the researchers on our Why We Post project, if you like, abandoned their research question or found it inappropriate. So, for example, the person who worked in Turkey, her PhD was in political anthropology. And she went to a place on the border of Syria and Turkey. I mean, obviously, therefore, her research was going to be about politics, right in the middle of this Kurdish and Arab and Turkish, etc. But it wasn't. Because for all sorts of reasons, people actually tried not to use social media for political reasons, mainly because they saw social media as to do with their friends and their relatives, and politics is divisive. It destroys relationships. So actually, they tried to keep politics away from that. Now, she therefore did most of her work in the end more to do with issues of friendship and love and intimacy and gender, not politics. Similarly, we had one in the team who was actually funded to look at indigenous identity. These were like indigenous Indians in the borders between Chile and Bolivia, etc. But these people never express indigeneity. Instead, the whole point is they're trying to form a community. They're a low-income community. They know they are looked down upon. So they want to suppress those differences in order to create a community. So again, they do the opposite of what you expect. And a third example was, again, one of our team. He went to a place where there were villages. This is in South India. Little villages, very low income. And then all these new IT workers were coming in. IT professional workers. So for him, obviously, the important contrast is between villagers with no income and IT professionals who are amongst the highest income people in India. That surely is what he's studying. But what did he find? He found that for most of the areas of online life that he was concerned with, the things that people had in common as Indians or Hindu Indians, the strong family connections, relationships with kinship, the relationships with religion, etc., actually these people had more in common and were more expressive then of what it means to be South Indian than the differences between that he set it up. So the point about our work is that the one consistent thing is that all the researchers were wrong. All the research questions were wrong. All the expectations were wrong. And for me, that's why I'm proud of this work. Because it meant they didn't find the thing that suited their career. They didn't find the thing that suited the theoretical framework they were going for. They didn't find the thing that would have been easier, convenient, and everybody wanted them to say, because they wanted them to talk about politics, and they didn't find. It meant they had what I would say is the integrity of research. They found what they actually found, and they spoke truth to their evidence. And even if it wasn't the thing that they wanted to be interested in, they stayed with the findings. And for me, that's proper scholarship. The people who decide what you're studying are the people that you study, not the big theoretical frameworks or the academic gurus who tell you this is in fashion this year and this is what we should be concentrating on, not the journalists who say it should be politics and identity or whatever it is. Your job is to respect the evidence of the people with whom you work. They have the authority to tell you what they are. So in our team, yeah, we all, as it were, failed in our work, and that's precisely what made it a success. Because I could see the fact that nobody was finding the thing that suited them. It meant that I really believe they had followed the evidence of their work, and they were true to that. They just went where the evidence led, and that's what they ended up speaking about. And to me, that is proper research. But it's nothing like the way it's conceptualized in things like, funding bodies and indeed even academic institutions who all think, you can create a research strategy and then your job is to go with that. That to me is actually against the truth of research. Research should be discovery, and you should follow what you find, not what you wanted to find.